So now I've moved to a different heart. We're now looking at an adult human heart. And I've made windows in the right side so that you can see into the right atrium and the right ventricle. Here is the right coronary artery. I'm now going to show you the internal features of the right atrium. Here is the appendage, a blunt triangular structure, and note how the appendage forms the entirety of the front wall of the atrial chamber. Here are its pectinate muscles, and they originate from this prominent muscle bundle, a very important muscle bundle which marks the boundary between the trabeculated part of the appendage and the smooth-walled venous component. Having pulled aside this muscle bundle, the terminal crest or the crista terminalis, we can see into this smooth-walled venous component, and here is the opening of the superior caval vein, the inferior caval vein, and in this position we see the opening of the coronary sinus. Now we also see that the terminal crest, as it passes downwards, it turns in between the opening of the inferior caval vein and the coronary sinus, and this flap structure you see here is the eustachian valve. And the eustachian valve runs now between the opening of the coronary sinus and the inferior caval vein, and this is a very important area, the eustachian ridge. We can see that the valve runs forward through that ridge, and if we put tension on the eustachian valve, a structure comes into prominence which runs all the way forwards towards the base of the aorta. If we dissected this continuation of the eustachian valve, it would become tendinous, would run forwards to join here with the tricuspid valve, and this structure is called the tendon of Torero. Together with the attachment of the tricuspid valve, which you see here marking the vestibule, it forms this triangular area at the most anterior margin of the right atrium, and this triangular area is particularly important. It is called the triangle of Koch, and contained here at the apex of the triangle of Koch is the atrioventricular node. The vestibule of the tricuspid valve running forward here between the coronary sinus and the tricuspid valve is also important because that is the area of the slow pathway into the atrioventricular node. From the stance of the atrium itself, however, we are particularly interested in this area between the vestibule of the tricuspid valve and the opening of the inferior caval vein. This area is the base of the triangle of Koch. It's underneath the mouth of the coronary sinus here, and this is the so-called isthmus. And so the isthmus extends between the vestibule of the tricuspid valve and the opening of the inferior caval vein. So, there are very many interesting features here within the right atrium, and what you can see is that the arrangement of the right atrium is essentially a bag full of holes, with these crucial openings forming the holes: superior caval vein, inferior caval vein, coronary sinus, orifice of the tricuspid valve, and then here in the back wall of the right atrium, this very important depression. I'm putting my probe on its floor. This is the septal surface of the right atrium, which we'll look at very shortly. And this depression on the septal surface, directly opposite the mouth of the inferior caval vein, is the oval fossa or the fossa ovalis, another hole within the musculature of the right atrium.